This is No Hipsters Pod.
Raven, this is your grandmother. I apologize so much. I sent you pictures. I pushed your name by mistake. I meant to send it to my friend Brian Allen. Please delete that picture from your group. Please, Grandma, baby. Grandma, when I looked up at my thing and I seen that, I felt so bad. I was sending it to Brian Allen.
Episode 28, No Hipsters Pod. It's your boy Ronte, the founder of NoHipstersAllowed.com. And this week, our co-host is my girl, Teresa.
Hi.
Welcome back once again.
Oh, it feels like home.
Nice. All right, let's get right to it. A little over a week ago, Dave Chappelle announced on his latest Netflix special, which really is supposed to be a stand-up, but it was more like a TED Talk because he doesn't really tell jokes. He's just he's kind of just shooting the shit most of the time. And so he talks about how Netflix pulled the Chappelle show from their lineup after he expressed dismay that the show was being streamed without any payment made to him because I guess whatever the deal he had made it so that he didn't get to reap any benefits from when the show was sold to other outlets further down the line.
I found out that these people were streaming my work and they never had to ask me or they never had to tell me. Perfectly legal because I signed the contract. But is that right? I didn't think so either. That's why I like working for Netflix. I like working for Netflix because when all those bad things happened to me, that company didn't even exist. And when I found out they were streaming Chappelle's show, I was furious. How could they not know? So you know what I did? I called them and I told them that this makes me feel bad. And do you want to know what they did? They agreed that they would take it off their platform just so I could feel better. That's why I fuck with Netflix.
And of course, it's just been fantastic PR for Netflix. So I actually tweeted about this, and the tweet went viral, and most of the responses are people saying, oh, good on Netflix. I'm going to make sure some people said that they were signing up for Netflix just because of that. So it was a fantastic PR move on their part. But the whole time, I just couldn't help but think about how generous they were to Dave Chappelle and how less than generous they were to Monique. And so I was wondering if you had any thoughts about that.
I definitely do. I think that the more and more as that story begins to unfold, the more and more I keep coming back and saying that we all owe Monique an apology.
Facts.
And that is just the plain fact of the whole entire situation where she presented her case, and there were some of these conditionals that people kind of threw out there that were never thrown out there with the Dave Chappelle situation.
Right.
So, I think it sucks to watch, but it's one of those things that also we've all known to be true about the industry, that it can be misogynistic, it can be racist, it can be ageist, ableist, and all of those things for the sake of exclusivity and remaining within a certain circle.
Right.
So it's even ironic to see Dave Chappelle, who cares less about being amongst a circle of people, to be able to still tote that much power.
Right. And it's interesting. People try to go the mathematical route and say like, oh, she just doesn't bring the numbers and she doesn't do this and do that. Mm-hmm. And it's funny. So actually on Clubhouse about a week or two ago, I asked this question to Tiffany Haddish because she was in the room and was like just taking questions from everyone. And I brought this up to her and she gave this same explanation about, okay, Dave makes him a lot of money and blah, blah, blah. And that's why they're being so generous towards him. And I to an extent, kind of get that. But I keep going back to the fact that Monique, as unpopular as you want to say that she is, as less of a star as you want to say that she is, she's not so small that she would be getting a 26th of what Amy Schumer would get. Mm-hmm. Right? In the sense that Netflix was willing to throw a $13 million bag at Amy Schumer and could only bring themselves to give Monique $500,000. Now, it's the fact that Monique is not as big of a star is an objective fact.
It doesn't doesn't even make sense because the women who were on Bad Girls Club made more money. It does not make any sense. It doesn't. That 500,000, their reality shows make more money. And so for this to have been a seasoned actress and comedian who was on the Queens of Comedy, I feel like that's
was that you meant that literally they really do make more than $500,000?
Oh, actually, I was being very literal.
Wow.
Yes. Reality show stars, depending those that you have per season, they do bring in a couple $1,000s per season. But if you continue, as of course that sum grows, the total amount for which they spent on Bad Girls Club is literally the amount that they're offering to Monique. And that to me was like, if you were trying to skew the numbers and put them into a certain perspective, to offer Amy Schumer a couple million and to offer Monique a couple 100,000 is racist. It's racist.
Yep.
It's racist. It's so many sad things that we also are seeing to be true. Just the way in which the industry can be cold and can lock people out for years and years.
Right.
Just simply from, that elitism of you're no longer in the in crowd.
Right. Yeah, and of course we know that Monique has had situations over the years where she's made some powerful enemies, but I still don't think that justifies this in any way. So,
and her powerful enemies have apologized, so I think that's a point to be made in her defense as well. That these people at their
Oprah hasn't, but
Auntie O ain't about to apologize to nobody.
Right.
Auntie O was gonna double down. So.
Right. But I hope that Monique definitely at least gets something through her lawsuit, which is moving forward in the courts, which suggests that there's something there. So we'll see. Let's change gears to the Grammy nominations that came out a little over a week ago, actually, and Beyonce leads with 9 nominations, which is a shock to me. And, I believe it was Taylor Swift has about 6 as well. But the big story out of all of this is that The Weeknd, who had one of the biggest hits of the year, one of the biggest albums of the year, got 0 nods. And part of me is cracking up because I do think he is overrated, but another part of me hates that about the Grammys, where they feel like they can just override the music buying public and say, okay, you think this popular song or this popular album is good enough, so too bad. It really calls the whole Recording Academy into question when something that popular can't even get at least 1 nod. So what are your thoughts on the nominations?
I think it makes you really question just how do they come about with their listing of nominations, and what exactly does play into these nominations? Because in all honesty, I've never felt like the nominations have truly reflected what people are listening to in those particular categories. I don't listen to every category, but I can definitely say that from the ones that I typically look out for, most of the time I'm wondering who's coming up with these, who's running the sticks back there. So I do get his frustration, because if you're thinking that by design that all right, the numbers should at least get you 1 nomination, then by design he was robbed.
Yeah. So it's funny, the former CEO of the Recording Academy, Deborah Dugan, actually sued them about a year or 2 ago. And at the time, I guess, it was more, that was this year. Damn.
Oh, wow. It's been a long year.
Yeah. Why does I feel like
it's been a long year?
I feel like I've lived 7 years since January.
Oh my
But yeah,
God.
this happened in January. So Deborah Dugan sued, and and of course, she went out with a bang, was alleging sexual harassment, was saying that a lot of the nominations are rigged, which I've always believed that they were. But it's now you have someone on the inside who, of course, is saying it for selfish reasons, but is actually exposing just how rigged a lot of the nominations and even the wins are. And I think at the time she kind of suggested that Billie Eilish's mom knew someone or something. Like, it was very, very shady the way a lot of things happen, according to her at least. And so, when you see the nominations this time around, I'm like, listen, The Weeknd is definitely annoying in many ways. Definitely was talking all that shit about Usher, like trying to there's a lot to not like the Weeknd for, but I think for as big as Blinding Lights was, Blinding Lights logged more weeks in the top 5 than any other song in history. That deserves a nomination.
I'm not gonna lie. I agreed when I saw that was the actual case. However, something brought me a little bit of joy watching him get looked over. Something inside of me said, "Serves you right."
Yeah. Right. I totally understand.
It's very odd because it's as if you don't want him to win, when in all actuality he actually has won. He is sat at the top, and he deserves what he's asking for. So
yeah. Oh well. But yeah, another thing that caught my attention is that Beyonce got all these nominations for Black Parade, which was
yeah.
I didn't quite understand that. And it's not the worst song in the world, but I definitely wouldn't be nominating that for a record of the year, album, a song of the year. And so it was interesting. She also got a lot of nominations for her work with Megan Thee Stallion. It was interesting. Her work came from the Lion King album, but also from Black Parade and the Savage remix. So, but in particular, I'm a bit confused about the Black Parade nominations. What do you think about that?
I think that if I'm even allowed to say that, I think that white people wanted to give Beyonce something. Okay. And that they've just decided that, you know what, this year with everything that's happened, this is what we're going to let her have.
Right.
I think that it had less to do with how well the song performed and how well it was received and how impactful it was. I think it had a whole lot more to do with the fact that, one, it's Beyonce. Right. And essentially in a lot of these older institutions, there are a lot more preferential towards choosing artists and with have relationships already established with, right, and using them as kind of their way of saying, see, we're not racist.
Right.
So I think that Black Parade got the praise that it did, not because it was an impactful record that just we'll remember for the rest of this. I'm not even sure we'll remember that song next year, to be 100% honest.
Listen, I forgot about its existence. So I was really shocked to see that it got some of the biggest nominations in song and record of the year.
There was a white woman behind that decision. I'm 100% positive. I am 1,000% positive that they were like, this is her single ladies of Black Revolution, and I'm pretty sure that she listened to that song over and over again to make her feel okay about the George Floyd situation and Breonna Taylor, and was like, this is what we're going to do.
This past week, Teyana Taylor announced that she's retiring from music, and the internet was devastated. And that includes me. And it just made me wonder how some people could just not ever really get the recognition they deserve. Now with Beyonce, of course, the Grammys, they really, that's not true. She's won 24 Grammys, but I feel like she's deserved the bigger awards. But as far as commercial success is concerned, I think she's gotten her due. Mm-hmm. And Teyana Taylor just hasn't been able to crack through. I don't know why, because the music is consistently good. So it just, I was kind of just reflecting about her career and how even so many times, even I would forget that she was a singer and would always just kind of think she was a rapper for whatever reason. And so I think it's a sad situation. And I was wondering what you thought.
I actually was thinking that I think that she's being a little bit of an emotional Sagittarius right now. Okay. I don't believe that Teyana Taylor is putting music. I feel like she has said this before. And if we really, really for the people who've been really close Teyana Taylor fans, I think that there's been a rumbling of just the fact that her label and her team essentially do not do her justice. And it's been over the last 3 years that like there has been a serious change in that I've seen.
And her label, of course, being Kanye West's label. Just for clear.
Yes. Because, first she had a lot of music that she had released before that I did not know that she had released. There was not a lot of marketing and promotion around her previous album. And what ended up happening, then they started pushing this fade to fitness Teyana Taylor thing. And it was a very artsy moment for her, but it wasn't a musical one. It didn't necessarily spotlight her acting skills or her actual singing skills and performance skills. And if this was someone who wanted to be marketed as like the next Janet Jackson or, someone of that realm, that didn't necessarily seem like the right rollout for her,
Right.
I feel like she hasn't been served very well, but she's been loyal to people who have not served her well.
Okay.
And that's been a big issue for her career, but I don't think that she's going to quit. I think she has way too many fans. Cardi even put out something saying that, she loves Teyana Taylor's music and
and honestly, I think betting on Kanye was a mistake. If she was somewhere else, she probably, I'd had a better shot. But
think about the fact that it's Kanye West, and that when she had first signed, she was a lot younger, in her early 20s, and people weren't necessarily seeing the vision for her. They kind of just saw her as, you were on my Super Sweet 16,
right?
So there wasn't a lot of faith behind what it is that she does. There wasn't a lot of understanding as to, why it is that she has the success that she has. And I think that she's proven it in the last few years. But the fact that people have made her prove it when she's kind of been doing this since she was 16.
Right.
I think she's being an emotional sag and she's just over it.
Ashanti and Keyshia Cole are going to be in the next Verzuz battle, and I have to say off top that I don't think this is a good matchup. I think Ashanti was I think the Keyshia Cole probably had a longer run if we take all things considered, but Ashanti was a bigger star. Like, just the magnitude of her hits are, I think will make this an awkward battle because I don't think Keyshia Cole has had hits that big. But what do you think of the matchup?
I think it's a great matchup. Oh my gosh, I completely disagree.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
I think this is a great matchup. I will agree that Ashanti was the bigger star, and I feel like that had less to do with the musicality. I feel like it had more to do with the overall package. There was not a, crazy family storyline behind Ashanti. She kind of has this story of being like the girl that held it down and wrote for everybody else, and finally is, getting a little bit of the shine that she deserves.
Right, the girl that was singing Jennifer Lopez's songs.
Exactly. And the fact of the matter is that, it made it super easy to also just root for Ashanti because of the fact that she came from a whole entire hip hop dream team. Whereas Keyshia Cole, when she premiered, she kind of was standing on her own, holding it down for her own. I will say that
she was another Kanye introduction, though, wasn't she? Keyshia?
Yes.
Funny
enough. She was.
Wow. Look at that.
Mm-hmm. All of the roads lead back to Jesus. Okay, something's in the water. That's all I'm saying.
Right. But I think they're both. I think Keyshia represents something very special in her own right. But I don't know. I think by the time she plays her little songs and Ashanti drops a happy on you or rain on me on you or foolish, it's gonna be difficult. But let's see. Let's see where this goes.
Keyshia has had some recent hits, and she's always had that powerhouse voice, and she's had her moments. I think it'll be a good matchup.
Let's talk about a restaurant called True Kitchen and Cocktails, located in Dallas, Texas, that made the news this past week after going viral. Because patrons were dancing and I guess were twerking in a Klassy restaurant that serves, slushy drinks in used Douce bottles.
Cocktails spelled with two Ks.
Right.
Cocktails, just so you know.
Right.
This is a classy with a K place. Just if you wanted to know what kind of classy.
Yes, super classy. So apparently people were twerking in there. And mind you, the place has a DJ that plays, twerking music. And the owner got upset and flips out on everyone.
I invested a lot of money into buying this building, into developing this concept so black people can have somewhere nice to go to, okay? Somewhere where we can feel good about ourselves as a... Come on! Stop the music, please. Somewhere where our people can feel good about ourselves as a culture, okay? No, real talk. And so all this twerking and shit, take it to Prime, take it to Pink, don't bring it here because we're a restaurant. And so beyond that, 75% of my customers are ladies. And I'm on men to show respect for themselves for how they carry themselves here. So how can I tell the men to respect themselves and you guys are twerking on glass here? If you want to do it, get the fuck out my restaurant.
Aside from the fact that that's just bad customer service altogether, even if you didn't like them dancing, what are you talking about?
So I will definitely say that the customer service, people had already made it very clear that the customer service was bad.
Right.
At this particular restaurant. If you were to go onto Yelp, apparently there were Yelp reviews where people were saying it was taking up to 3 hours for them to get their food, but the drinks had like a 15-minute turnaround. Now, if you were serving me a Douce slushie on a Sunday, and throw that ass in a circle comes on. I'm not saying that automatically means I'm going to start twerking, but I'm just saying that if twerking happens, like, how dare you start yelling at me? Because what else did you expect? I feel like the vibes were there.
Right. The vibes were there. It's just so funny because the place just looks like a cafeteria as far as like just the tables and the chairs and everything. And so I'm like, what? Why does he think that this is upscale? But very, very interesting. Definitely had, little hints of misogyny in there, and just boneheadedness in general. And I hate when you start a business that's clearly meant for their profit and try to make it seem like they're doing this, act of public good. Like, this is your fucking business. Like, this is not this has nothing to do with black people. This is just for your pockets. So
It absolutely was. And I will also say that, so reports came out afterwards because apparently the restaurant is doing very well now. This huge boost of social media attention.
Oh, wow.
So they are actually getting a lot of people coming in. But apparently the owner is in a dispute with his co-owner over some possible falsified PPP applications.
Oh, no.
Mm-hmm. And this has been going on since earlier this fall when they decided to go their separate ways. And at that time, essentially, he threw himself into this project and the partner threw himself into another one. But yeah, it seems as though he is under a bit more fire than what we're just seeing inside of a 20-second clip.
Right.
So yeah, but it very much was offensive to me. Same. As a Black woman. I definitely felt like I don't want anybody infringing on my right to throw my ass when and wherever I want to. I feel like you shouldn't be asking me not to do these things. Like that's number one, first and foremost. Secondly, whenever someone states as though they're doing something for the community, but just makes it seem as though it's only for particular members of the community. I don't really like that.
Right.
I feel like we've come from a lot where we were not allowed to be who we are and be as expressive as we are. And so to now kind of adopt that level of elitism where, this is for the Black people, but not for all the Black people.
Just the well-behaved ones.
Exactly.
That sit still.
Exactly. Like, just tap your foot while you're listening to some of this Megan Thee
Right.
Stallion.
Right. And listen, I definitely respect a restaurant's, right to, create a certain ambiance. I like if you want to have a dress code or this code or that or whatever. But my issue is that if you're so against twerking, why is the DJ in there playing bass heavy music? Like, what is the truth?
So what is the truth?
That was
So between Black Twitter and all of the respectability politicians, I was able to actually pull out that the reason why he was playing that song in particular is because that artist is from that area. So he was trying to support a Black artist from the area, to which my response was, oh, okay, that makes perfect sense. That artist was creating a song that he wanted women to sit down to.
So is he trying to make us believe that on every other occasion he's playing like, classical or jazz? Like what's he trying to say over there?
I wasn't sure. I'm pretty sure that was the end of that whole entire that was the end of that argument right there. But I will say that, if Throwing Ass in a Circle were to come on at Mastro's or at Joe's, then, I would not have the first instinct to jump on the table and start twerking. No. But if two other tables are already doing it, I'm doing it.
I can respect that. All right, so from one misogynistic jerk to another, and this time it's a quote-unquote relationship consultant named Kevin Samuels, who went viral this past week because one of his callers, and first of all, I don't even know why women put themselves through things like this, but one of his callers called in asking for, I guess, how she could, nail a six-figure man.
I honestly want a six-figure guy, is what I'm realizing.
And ma'am, and that's my point. You ladies all feel like, listen, you ladies all feel like you're the exception to the rule. And then when someone like myself comes along and gives you a dose of reality, instead of just accepting it, it's like, yeah, but I'm special. You don't know any men on this level that are not your father, that aren't related to you. That means you don't know these men. You don't know where to go get them. You don't know what they want. But you're still saying, pick me. They don't want mid-30-year-old baby mamas.
And then he responds by calling her all types of ugly, that she's going to die alone. It's a long thing where he's just asking her, well, why do you want this kind of man? And how would you rate yourself? And he tells her she's average at best.
What would you rank yourself on a scale from 1 to 10? You cannot use 7.
Would I rate myself?
Just your face.
My face when I wake up, 5, but when I put myself together, 6.
Okay. And how tall are you?
5'5".
Dress size.
I'm sorry?
Your dress size.
A 3.
Okay. So that makes you, if you give yourself a 5, that's average.
Yes.
So average looking women tend not to get high earning men. They tend to get average men.
The whole thing was just icky. And I mean, first of all, some people were actually agreeing with this man, which shouldn't have surprised me, but it did. But I also think what he's saying is a lie. The idea that average-looking women, or even women who are less than average-looking, can't get a man who has a lot of money is a falsehood, started by people who clearly don't go out much. So what were your thoughts on the whole thing?
So I've actually fallen into a wormhole of figuring out who this man is after hearing that. But my original thought was that this is extremely rude. It's unnecessary. And it is very much not true. In the clip, he definitely does point out that this woman makes 6 figures. She's a business owner. But the main focus as to why he seems to think that things aren't working for her, it sounds like, has 100% to do with how she appears.
Right.
And that just obviously is not the only standard that people date around. So I did understand, why most people who were watching it also had felt as though what he's saying can't be credited. What I hate about these clips is that a lot of times people will find one or two truths to attach themselves to,
Right.
To kind of try to validate the whole entire thing. One of the things that I noticed the internet kind of took off and ran with is the fact that I believe it was the fact that she rated herself
a 5.
A 5, yes. To which they said, if she feels like she's a 5, then, why does she think that she deserves A, B, C, and D? And I didn't have an answer for that. I just had the question of, I don't know, but men have to have that audacity all the time.
Yeah, that's touche. But
so
listen,
if she's allowed to rate herself a 5, but say that she wants a 10, I don't understand that. The other truth I noticed people ran off with was the fact that only 10% of men make over 6 figures. Yes, true. And I'm pretty sure not many of them live where she lives. However, that's 10% of the entire population. So we're not necessarily talking about her going on dates with 2 to 3 people. It's a large range of people. And I feel like that figure was kind of thrown out there to kind of dishearten Black women from thinking that there's someone out there for them that makes 6 figures, when in all actuality, there most certainly could be.
Right. Yeah, the conversation. I mean, the whole thing has made me uncomfortable, and I hate that she put herself through that. Like, just the humiliation of it. Like, why would you? Because now that clip is there forever, and she never gets to really escape that. So yeah, I hated that for her.
Yeah, I mean, I do find her to be extremely patient, and I do find the fact that the clip went viral to actually be a bit more in her favor. Only because I thought that she was beautiful. I didn't think that she was average at best, as he put it.
Right.
I felt as though if I were a man in my 30s, this woman is a mother, and the baby grown, the baby about to be gone. So that baby can watch himself. And she makes good money. And I just don't see any down parts in it. I don't see any of the reason why the men aren't necessarily flying in the DMs right now.
Right.
So I don't think it's gonna be too harsh for her. I genuinely feel as though her spirit and her professionalism and patience while this man was really trying to degrade her was actually a redeeming quality.
Right. My only worry is that her patience is probably used against her often. So I don't know. But yeah, the whole thing made me uncomfortable. And yeah, hopefully things are better for her now. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, because we all just watched a very painful moment.
Very, very painful. All right, winners and losers. Teresa, I'll let you go first.
Okay, so I will say my loser for this week is, and I hate that I have to even say this, but it's definitely Letitia Wright.
He beat me to it, but definitely.
It's Letitia Wright for me. It's Letitia Wright because, sis, what are you talking about?
Like, what is really going on?
I don't even understand. As much as I agree that, Black people have every right to be suspicious about advances in modern medicine, particularly in America, and who has been the sacrificial lambs for the sake of advancement. I get that. But to completely be an anti-vaxxer and then to throw religion in there too, I wanted more for her. I didn't see that on my 2020 bingo card.
Right. And it's funny because she was actually trying to present like she was an anti-vaxxer. Oh, I'm just asking questions. But it was clearly something that was supposed to make people, lead people down the path of questioning vaccines to the point of not taking them. And so she's not as slick as she thinks she is. And I just wish she didn't do that at all, because it's such a terrible look. Very bad for the brand.
It was really hard for me to even say that it was this, because it was almost one of them Cyrus kids. But it was definitely Letitia Wright for me. My winner for this week is Mariah Carey.
Yes.
I do feel like every time Christmas season comes around, Mariah Carey pops out and she collects all of her bags. And I just love these new clips of Mariah and Ariana doing their little whisper note together.
Yes.
It's just like, actually, sis, this is literally the bit of holiday cheer that I did not realize I still needed.
It's right on time.
I love that for her. I love that for her.
Yeah, I'm actually watching tonight, so thanks for reminding me that I need to do that.
Yes.
All right, so my losers for the week. You took the first one. I think you covered it, Letitia Wright, for her boneheaded tweet. But also brother Nate Robinson for getting beat by Jake Paul. I felt so bad for him.
He's taking it really well, too.
He is, but that was just so bad. And this is why, like, honestly, it doesn't matter how good you are in other sports. It doesn't mean you're a boxer. And also, when you're only 5'9", it's always like not smart to like get into the ring with someone who's 6'1", 6'2". So I'm actually scared for Floyd Mayweather, who's going to be fighting Jake's brother Logan, because Floyd is 5'8" and Logan is 6'2". This could be a disaster. And then my other losers for this week are City Girls for all her problematic tweets. Actually, JT and Mulatto and actually a few others had their old tweets pulled up on Sunday, and a lot of them were terrible. And JT actually just doubled down.
You know what? Y'all bitches on this app win. I'm not even for to be myself. I'm gonna be so professional, bitch. I'm gonna show up to Twitter in a suit and tie every motherfucking day. Stop worrying about my motherfucking tweets and what I motherfucking write, and patrol y'all own motherfucking shit. Make sure you don't write the wrong thing. Get the fuck off my page patrolling what the fuck I say, trying to find a negative in every motherfucking thing people say on this app with a verified check. Y'all dick sucking, stupid, slow, retarded. I should never say retarded.
Can I just say...
What is wrong with her?
Can I just say that I feel bad for saying this, but I actually like her better now that I know that she's this funny. Because
but it's terrible. But a lot of her tweets are terrible.
Awful. Awful. But I feel like that's part of the reason why she may even survive this, because with most of them being from a good 5 years ago, and with them being as just like in poor taste as they were, I think that she might actually be okay. And that's actually coming from just like my complete PR background, and just feeling like, she might be able to actually laugh her way through this one.
Yeah, because I think the bar is so low for her anyway, so it almost doesn't matter.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then my next loser is Apple for that $500 headphone they just announced today. I don't know what they think this is, in the middle of a panty. And then
in a panoramic.
In panoramic. And then also Trey Songz for performing in the packed club this past weekend in Ohio. I'm not sure why we're doing this at the height of the panoramic, but it's ridiculous. And so those are my losers. I think we've covered them all. My winners are Rashida Jones, the woman who's just named the president of MSNBC, who is now the most prominent Black woman in cable news.
But not Quincy's daughter.
No, definitely not Quincy's daughter. Right. That's funny. Yeah, they do have the same name. So Rashida Jones, congrats to her. Dionne Warwick for being such an amazing tweeter, it turns out, and providing us so much entertainment. And actually, before I finish with the winners, let me circle back and say that Meek Mill is also a loser this week for giving $20 to a bunch of kids.
Oh my gosh.
And then post
telling them to split it.
right. Like
not in a Panamera.
Right.
Like what?
Like, and honestly, you could have done something so like ridiculous and like not posted it, but you had to just share that with everyone.
And that was from his perspective. So yeah, he did post it. He did record it. You're right. You're absolutely right.
Absolutely
Something
terrible.
inside of him said, I'm going to send this.
Right. He just had to. He couldn't help himself. And then, okay, let's get back to the winners. And I don't know if these people are winners or not, but Red Table Talk got one today. And, let's say the winner is Adrian Banfield Norris, Jada's mom.
Yeah.
So they had Olivia Jade, who is a daughter of Lori Loughlin and Massimo Giannulli, and, the people who are the center of the college admission scandal. Mm-hmm. And she was the guest on Red Table Talk. And the whole time, Jada's mom was saying that she didn't want it to happen because she just didn't agree with them providing, the launching pad for her mea culpa, right?
Yeah.
And so, I like that she kept it real and then she treated her with kitty gloves at all. So
no, she told her right to her face, I did not want you here.
You're a beautiful, young, white woman who's been born into privilege, right?
Exactly.
And so there would be some people that would feel like she'll be fine. Like, why
I feel that way.
Right.
Right. I loved it.
I did not want you here. And I love that about that age when they're like, I don't like you.
Right.
And I'm just going to tell you right now.
Before we leave, I just want to say RIP to Natalie Desselle Reid, star of BAPS, star of How to Be a Player, and she was also actually in the Cinderella movie with Brandy and Whitney Houston. Mm-hmm. She passed away yesterday from colon cancer, and she's one of those people who wasn't a big star, but she had lots of important roles.
Super impactful.
Right, and movies that have definitely stood the test of time. Like, I always watch How to Be a Player whenever I see it, and that's partly because she is so funny in that movie. Mm-hmm. I watch, BAPS whenever I see it. I watch Cinderella whenever I see it. And so, rest in peace to her, and just wanted to make sure that we spoke about her on this episode. So, all right, Teresa, plug your social media real quick.
You can follow me at REESIE_RICH. That's Reese_Rich on Twitter and on Instagram.
All right. Episode 28, No Hipsters Pod. Talk to you next time.
Bye.